Okay, so today we are going to be making the closure wig. For starters, you want to get your T-pins and put your closure a little above the wig cap so it look more natural. But when you cut it, it just works better. Can't really explain it. So when sewing, make sure you put a knot for each one of your sews or whatever you want to call them, and also use your T-pins to make sure your closure is completely flat. This will help you in the future. So when sewing, make sure you knot every thread as you go. Therefore, your track or closure will not slide. This is the best option. So usually I use two different types of thread to do the closure, and I start from the center and work my way to the front. Therefore, it'll be even on both sides. But because I had a good bit of T-pins this time, I just did the four corners on each one, and so because it wasn't moving, so it kind of helped. But if you don't have a lot and you only have one needle, start from the center of the back and work your way on each side. Thread it up differently if you have to. But I was able to go for one go around. So right here, basically, was just showing you how they look after I finished one side and some of the back. So I'm on the opposite side now. It's the same process. Make sure the thread is flat as well, because it will tangle when you use long thread, and it knots very easily. To prevent gaps, make sure you sew close together. It doesn't have to be completely close, but close enough to where you can see that it's flat. And if you lift it, it won't be minor places that you can tell when you didn't sew as close as you did before. So when you get to the front, you can sew on the elastic only because what's underneath the closure will be cut out. So to keep the wig cap itself and the front of the closure together, it's better to sew through the elastic. It's kind of a smarter decision. So when you get close to the ends, make sure you knot it more than once to keep the thread in place. And when you cut it, don't cut all the way, just in case you have to go back because for some reason it unloosens and you have to go and retie it. So I personally don't cut it all the way to the bottom. I just cut it really low. Some people may do it differently, but it's just the way I do mine. So that's the closure after everything's down. So being that I had the T-pins, everything went perfectly. Next, you're gonna see me with the first bundle. For this, I had 16, 14, 12 with a 10-inch closure. So with the first try, what you want to do is start with the closure. Well, you put the first track with the closure. So for the surrounding area, you want to lay the first track right there. It's the thread I'm using. I got it from the local beauty supply store for $10. And this is what I mean when I say use the first track, lay it around. So you want to go ahead and do that. for a better, flatter look. For that first spin, or for any of them, but especially when you first start, just do it a couple of times just to ensure that the track will not sleep, because it does. The more you tug on it, because you're sewing on one track, make sure it does not slip. So tie it multiple times and just knotting it up. When you get to the top of the other side, make sure you knot it multiple times once again and cut it. You don't want to go back around because the rest of yours are going to be side to side. This is the only one that surrounds the whole head. The rest of the tracks that you lay should be side to side. And for a better, flatter look, you might want to cut for each track after you sew it. I'm not really sure. Just in case you don't trust that first track to go, you can also sew it with the closure as well into the elastic, because that part of the elastic will not be getting cut. So that stays around your head, but the one underneath the closure does. So if you sew it on the closure or next to the closure elastic, it'll be just fine. Here you can see that I sewed it close to the closure, right exactly next to it. So you want to start laying them side to side like I mentioned earlier for a better flatter look, so it won't look bulky. It's always better not to overlap them, so just make sure. Also, they don't have to be as close unless you don't want a really full wig, but you don't want it to tingle either, so you might not want to do them as close. So this is a close-up on what I was telling you. You don't want to sew. You can sew through the mesh, but underneath the mesh is the elastic. You do not want to sew through that, or you will not be able to really stretch your wig out. So it's a repeated process. So I'm gonna come off camera and show you when I'm done with it. So this is the completed look. Sorry you can't really see it. I'm also sorry for the noise in the background. It's my fish tank. This is my first time doing something like this, so I'm just a little nervous. And I have worn it also, so that's why you see minor curls in it. I have worn the wig, but stay tuned for the next video where I style it. Also, I parted it. I did a side part and plugged it just a little. I bleached the knots before I even recorded it and just added a little dot to the front. What else? The wax stick, I used the regular wax stick and added it to the parts where I wanted to lay. And because I don't have a hot comb, I just used the wand curler, but I just used it because the stick itself is hot, and just set it on the part. And that's just what I was left with. It's actually a really good, and it blended in with my skin, but because the front is kind of folded, being that the way I set it back on the wig to finish it, you can't really see, and it looks darker, but it's not. So I added a little mousse to it this time, just for the flyaways a little, and to just set everything in place. And that was pretty much it. After this, I just, I didn't really lay the edges, but I did keep them out the way, because when I do wear it, it's just like pre-made edges that I just have to lay. So yeah. So anyways, this was pretty much it. This is the finished product after I won it. Sorry I didn't get footage, but that's everything. And I will make another video styling it, so stay tuned for that. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for taking the time out your day to visit my page. And I will see you around.